Welcome to the news for the 25th week of 2021. I'm Matt Miller. This is Trekzone. Before we get into it, a quick reminder that you can get behind-the-scenes goss and early access to all Trekzone podcasts by becoming a member today. Click the join button on any Trekzone video, go to the Trekzone/support, or put your phone up to the QR code on screen right now. Plus, follow us on Twitter, subscribe to the YouTube channel or podcast feeds wherever you listen, and leave comments and ratings. Now, on to the news on our cancelled Canberra road trip. The Voyager retrospective documentary has begun filming. Following a record-breaking crowdfunding campaign, director David Zappone called action for the first time last week. With a swag of behind-the-scenes photos already online, we know that Martha Hackett, Alexander Einberg, Scott McDonald, Jeffrey Combs and Vaughan Armstrong have all been interviewed. That's not to forget behind-the-scenes folks as well, directors David Livingston, Andy Robinson, writer Lisa Klink, makeup artist Karen Westerfield, composer Dennis McCarthy and guru Doug Drexler. Despite the pandemic, Zappone says no remote interviews will be conducted as they can't replicate the intimacy of in-person recording. As tipped by Trekzone months ago, Lower Decks and Strange New Worlds will headline Paramount Plus when it launches for Latin America in September. Following an extended wait for viewers outside of the US, Lower Decks premiered in most countries earlier this year on Amazon Prime, but viewers in Latin America were left wanting. Now, Viacom CBS have confirmed the animated series and Strange New Worlds will headline the streaming service. Meanwhile, 10 All Access here in Australia rebrands to Paramount Plus on August 11, and Season 2 of Lower Decks goes live on August 12. You tell me that's not a coincidence. 4 years on from co-creating Discovery, Alex Kurtzman has since been tasked with overseeing the rebuilding of the Star Trek universe on television. He spoke recently about how he sees the franchise in today's changing world. Quote, "I would say that in this particular moment in time where everyone is rethinking a lot of the assumptions that they made about the world and the systems that are in place in the world, Star Trek speaks to those in a way that I think no other franchise does. It's always been incredibly relevant, but it's really relevant now. I think that some of the series are roller coaster rides, some of them are more meditative, some of them are hilarious, some are interesting explorations of the state of humanity, and some of them are just about the pure joy of seeing the world through the eyes of children. Our universe wants to be different colour crayons in the same box. There's a common thread between all of those things, but if all the shows are the same, we're failing, right?" Well, our Canberra road trip makes the fourth story of our lineup today, with rapidly rising case numbers across every state on the mainland. Thanks to a bit of inept government, methinks, from New South Wales, we have no choice but to turn around from our first stop here in Parkes and get back to the safety of our home studio. However, we'll still bring you the podcast we'd hoped to, including Talkin' Science with Dr. Brad, a look inside Questacon, plus we should have the opportunity to chat with one of the technicians at the Tidbinbilla tracking station, part of NASA's Deep Space Communication Network. We're also going to learn about the traditional name of the world-famous dish in Parkes, just not in person. All will be back to video calls over the coming days. Well, what a week on Trekzone. We broke down the Season 2 trailer for Picard, caught up on Dr. Trek's review of the first season, focused on China in Talkin' Science, beamed down to the University of Queensland to learn about quantum microscopy, and relived the moments Ray Tessie and Alec Peters beamed in. And coming up this week, it's That Time When we focused on Science Special, as we were supposed to be going around Canberra for the next week's shows. Relive the moments we learned about the planetary systems, when the Aussie Space Agency was formed. We went in-depth on exoplanets and Tatooines. Plenty of That Time When science goodness to come this week. Then, of course, Talkin' Trek, not in person, but with Dr. Brad, as he usually is, via video call, happening tomorrow. Don't miss a moment. Subscribe and ring the bell on our YouTube channel. Subscribe to our podcast feed in your favourite app and sign up for the mailing list on our website. Of course, that's trekzone.org. Leave a comment on YouTube too. Let's chat about the stories this week. But for now, and as always, I'm Matt Miller for Trekzone.
Keep up to date with Twitter. Catch new podcasts daily on YouTube. Plus, we're beaming to your favourite podcast app 5 days a week. Just search for Trekzone and subscribe.